breaking news in the NFL today is the Bills have fired head coach Sean McDermott. Adam Schefter with us all show. Adam, what do we know about the decision in Buffalo?
Laura, when the Buffalo Bills lost on Saturday to the Denver Broncos, that sealed Sean McDermott's fate in Buffalo. He was unable to get this team to a Super Bowl, and that essentially was his undoing in the end. We could look at a variety of factors as to why this team moved in a different direction, but they are squandering the prime years of Josh Allen's career, not being able to get him to a Super Bowl, and not being able to get him to a Super Bowl this year when there was no Patrick Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow. Josh Allen, with him as the quarterback, they lost once in the wild card round, 4 times in the divisional round, twice in the AFC Championship game, never getting to the Super Bowl. And people around the league felt like this was a team that played tight in moments that mattered. I think it goes back to when they lost that game in Kansas City in the final 13 seconds. The team seemed to play tighter after that. And now here we are in a season where a team in their division is playing to go to the Super Bowl on Sunday. The New England Patriots may get back to the Super Bowl before the Bills can get there, with Drake May having replaced Tom Brady. And ultimately, Buffalo felt like it needed to do something to try to get to the next step. And they fired Sean McDermott, and they promoted their general manager, Brandon Beane, to the president of football operations, along with his GM title.
Yeah, Brandon Beane, of course, gets the promotion. As you just said, Sean McDermott has to find a new job. We'll get into all of this throughout this show. And Adam with us for the next hour with a lot more context on this and other things. Now, this season, the Bills became the 4th different team in the Super Bowl era to win a playoff game in at least 6 straight seasons. The first 3 teams to do so, that was the mid-90s Cowboys, Brady-era Patriots that Adam brought up, and the Mahomes-era Chiefs all won at least 3 Super Bowl titles during their reigns. Buffalo not even made it to a Super Bowl during their run. When you see those numbers, it does make this make maybe a little bit more sense, although I will say this shocked a lot of us as we welcome you to the show. Marcus and Dan here, Mina and RC. We got a lot to get to. Marcus, was this, in your mind, the right move for Buffalo?
Yeah, it's similar to what I thought about John Harbaugh, right? You're looking for that next edge in order to try to get to a Super Bowl. And Josh Allen, look, when you have quarterbacks like that, it puts pressure on coaches. It puts pressure on the organization, your decision making. Where do we go from here? You've been a good enough coach to get us to this point, but we are looking for what's next. And when you think about this team is about to build a new stadium. They're about to have to revamp a little bit on defense. They got some contracts that's getting up there. They got to fix some issues on this football team, and maybe you just want some new blood. McDermott didn't get it done to the level in which they thought they should, with 17 being the quarterback, and I understand the decision. Doesn't mean he's not a good coach. Same thing I said about John Harbaugh.
Yeah, there's no way right now that we could say this is the right move, because we just don't know what the next move is, who's going to, and what that next potential success looks like. And there's no one available right now, because Mike Tomlin is not, that you would sit here and say, this guy's a better coach than Sean McDermott. I agree, Marcus. It's the exact same way I feel about Coach Harbaugh.
Yep.
No, it's not the right move. Until we know who the next move is, it's going to be hard to find a coach that is as consistent as Sean McDermott, but I understand it. I mean, 5 years in a row, it feels like they've lost on the final play, playoffs, in like the same way, where you find a way to, the quarterback misses a throw here or misses a play there, or they take the field on defense with the lead and they can't hold the lead for a defensive-minded head coach. So he's a great coach. He's going to have a job immediately once this pool gets going for him in interviews, but this is, once again, it's a dice roll by Buffalo, the same it is for Baltimore.
I mean, I love the fact that you guys have mentioned John Harbaugh, because what this says is we don't have enough patience to watch you lose with a Hall of Fame quarterback. Because that's all this is. This is, we believe Josh Allen is a Super Bowl quarterback, and for some reason you can't get him to the Super Bowl. But that also goes to some of Josh Allen's play in some of the biggest moments. And this is not Josh Allen's fault. He's played plenty good in many playoff games to win those games. A lot of those times it's been Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the field from him. But that's what it wasn't what it was this week. That was Bo Nix. And that was your team, even undermanned, putting you, Josh Allen, the best players left in the playoffs, in a spot to win the game. And Dawson Knox was wide open. Hit him. Right? Khalil Shakir is right there on the screen. Don't dirt the football. You get the football turned over. the end of the half and you throw an interception. You fumble the football and you kick a field goal. There's a Nick Bonito sack fumble. All of these things happen, and that was Josh Allen. That wasn't Sean McDermott. I didn't see a lot of things happening on Saturday that said Sean McDermott is not a good coach. And so the question that you're asking, if you're Brandon Beane or if you're the owners of the Buffalo Bills, is where's our John Gruden? Right? Because this feels very Tony Dungy-ish. This feels like a team that has opportunities to win Super Bowls, that have players that come up just short. But where's that quarterback? Because what I see is we're just recycling all the same coaches. We're just playing coaches, Hollywood shuffle, and you get fired here and I'll hire you there. I don't believe that this was the right call. I think some tweaks and Josh Allen playing a little bit better this weekend, and we're seeing a different team in the AFC Championship.
Yeah, I don't agree with this decision. I understand sometimes you want to shake things up, you know, what we saw in Baltimore and Pittsburgh. And so I don't think it's totally egregious when you look at the entire body of work. But to sort of echo what Ryan just said, watching the Bills this weekend, I certainly wasn't thinking about the coaching staff. I was thinking about Allen, of course, but I was also thinking about the roster and all of the flaws that it has, which is why the fact that this news came with also the news that Brandon Beane, the GM, got a promotion, that's what's the most puzzling part of all of this to me. I mean, that was a defense that had no pass rush, right? Filled with aging players on the back end, an offense that didn't have pass catchers, which he mocked, by the way, that question this offseason. Y'all remember that sound. And when you look back at some of Brandon Beane's draft picks and some of his big free agency moves since he drafted Josh Allen, they don't look great, guys. I see some solid players, but I don't see a lot of superstars. And then free agency, I see a lot of mistakes. Von Miller contract being the biggest one, but Joey Bosa was not good in this game, who was, you know, the signing this offseason. So for me, I think just as a whole, I find this puzzling because I think the roster was a problem. And the fact that that wasn't addressed, I think, is a mistake on the part of the Bills organization.
What's going to be really interesting to me is, do they, in their next head coach, look for a guy that is defensive-minded and say, you know, this defense has to be better? Or do they try to find somebody that's right in line with Josh Allen? I don't know this, but my guess is you don't make this move without getting Josh Allen on board in the first place. Dan, if you're Brandon Beane, who's your first call for the replacement here?
Yeah, the first call would probably be Brian Daboll, just because I would value the relationship that at least he's had with Josh Allen. The question that I would ask is, if I hired Brian Daboll, can I keep Joe Brady? Joe Brady was sensational this past season and this past weekend. I want Joe Brady as the play caller in Buffalo. If I can't have that, I would then probably look to Joe Brady to just anoint him as the head coach. I think Bobby Babich is a good defensive coordinator, so I don't think that there's this easy answer. You're not going to find a coach that you sit there and say,
Yeah.
this one's better than the guy we just had.
This is why, again, the timing is so weird to me, because if the thought here is we're going to go offense, and I would be surprised if they make a switch from a defensive coach who I thought did a hell of a job with limited tools on defense, this is not the year, right? Like last year, Ben Johnson, Liam Cole, like think about some of the previous years, there are all these exciting offensive minds. This year is not the season in which I want to be out there needing to hire an offensive coach. Kevin Stefanski's off the board too now. So I just don't think this was the right time to do this. I just don't.
Yeah, it does make you think, like, maybe, Adam, they are planning on elevating Joe Brady. Maybe they have some plan in place already. What are you hearing about potential replacements for Sean McDermott out there?
Well, a few things to keep in mind here, Laura. First and foremost, I think Buffalo with Josh Allen now becomes a preeminent, if not the preeminent, destination and choice for available coaches who are out there. But the Bills still are competing with 8 other teams to hire that head coach. I don't think they're worried about their job right now, and they certainly don't seem to be rushing to go make a move right now. They're going to go through meetings with the NFL tomorrow, have a press conference on Wednesday, and then they will launch into their search. Let's also keep in mind that they can't talk to members of the Rams and Seahawks staff, member of the Broncos and Patriots staffs, because they didn't get interviews with them before, so they have to wait for their seasons to finish now before they can even speak to prospects on those teams. But I think the aces in the hole in all this would be Brian Daboll, the former Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, who's close with Josh Allen. Joe Brady, the current offensive coordinator, who's close with Josh Allen, and even Davis Webb, the former Buffalo Bills quarterback, who's been on the interview circuit right now as a head coach candidate at the age of 30, who also would be an ace in the hole. So Buffalo's going to have no problem luring a top coaching candidate to Buffalo, but they're going to do it on their timeline and not rush into anything.
Yeah, well, what's weird about that to me is, are we just trying to hire people that get along with Josh Allen? Is that what was going on? Was Sean McDermott not the type of person Josh Allen wanted to play for? Did he not put Josh Allen in position over and over again in the playoffs to be that guy that ascended, to be the dude that was on the same tier with Joe Burrow that's been in a Super Bowl, or Patrick Mahomes that's been in a Super Bowl? That didn't seem like the problem to me. And so now if we're talking about Brian Daboll, he's been in the building. Josh ain't go to the Super Bowl with him either. Joe Brady, who I think has done a phenomenal job, who I believe should be a coach that is uniquely sought after during this coaching cycle, he's been in the building too. And Davis Webb, that's his homeboy. Is that where we are now?